Hello, how are you? I'm Miss Karis from the Greenwood Public Library, and today I have a very special guest with us. It's Ms. Aida Waserstein, and Ms. Aida has written a new children's book that I love, and I'm going to have her share it with you today. So, Ms. Aida, thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, can you tell me a little bit about why you decided to write this book?
Well, um, people have told me over the years that I should write a book. And I started writing an adult book. And then I put it aside. And then I had my first grandchild. So I decided that I should write a children's book so my grandchild would know where she came from, basically. It took 9 years to write it. It's just a little book, it's nothing fancy. And it took another year to get it translated into Spanish. But it basically the story of my life. And since I think people kept telling me I should write a book, I think that's the reason they said it. I thought this was a good way to do it.
Okay, that's exciting. Well, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that Miss Aida can share her story with you.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it.
And I'll make it.
So this is on the screen because this is sponsored by the Delaware Division of the Arts, which has funded this program, and I'm very grateful to them. And this is the cover of the book. My name is Aida. And one thing that I want to tell the Spanish speakers who may be watching is that we're going to do this in Spanish also. Una cosa que quiero decirle a las personas que hablan español es que también lo vamos a hacer en español. So it's by me, and then it's illustrated by Jason Olney. Jason and I spent 2.5 years getting together in order for the illustrations to be done, and I think he has done a wonderful job. This is a little background about who I am. My father came from Poland in 1937, and my mother had come from Russia in 1922. They both left their countries because there was turmoil going on there, and they basically were afraid to stay. And then when it talks about how I came from Cuba by myself as an unaccompanied minor between the Bay of Pigs in 61 and the Cuban Missile Crisis in 62. And then it also gives you information about Jason, who basically his family has been here for many more years than mine. And he has been in this country. This is where he was born, and this is where he has lived his whole life. So the book is dedicated to my brother. And it says, in the hope that in future generations, the term unaccompanied minors will become obsolete because children will no longer be alone. And then this page goes on to thank other people who helped in having this book become the book that it is today. My name is Aida. What's your name? My family is from different countries, Cuba, Russia, and Poland, and many great things, and I'm proud of all of them. My father, Papi, was born in Poland, and my mother, Mami, was born in Russia. Since there were many wars there, they moved to Cuba, which is where they met and married. And if you look at the map, you can see Russia and Poland, and you can also see Cuba. My brother and I were born in Cuba and spoke Spanish, but we also learned Yiddish in school. Yiddish was spoken by my family in Europe before they went to Cuba. We had lived in Cuba for many years, but then Mommy got sick and died when I was 11 years old. I cried so much. When I was 11 years old, There was a new government in Cuba, and my family was worried. They feared that there would be war soon, like the wars they were trying to get away from in Europe. This is a picture of what the next page is, but I do need to tell you that my daughter was in high school and was sad one day, and she did a black and white ink drawing of how she felt. And Jason took that drawing and developed this picture. So there's a little bit of history to this picture. And you can see she doesn't have a mouth. And that was not because we forgot it, but it was expressing the fact that she really couldn't speak. She was silent. When I was 13, Papi heard about a program for children that is now known as Peter Pan. The Spanish name is Pedro Pan. Like Peter Pan, the Cuban children were able to fly away. Papi was worried about our safety. He sent me on an airplane to the United States in 1961. He sent my little brother 2 months later. Only children could go. My papi, aunt, and uncle had to stay in Cuba. I was very sad about leaving my family behind. And this is the picture of a plane and a map showing how I went from Cuba to Florida. The plane landed in Miami, Florida. After I got off the plane, a lady tapped me on the shoulder and asked me in Yiddish, "Is your name Aida?" I felt strange because I did not know her, but at least I could understand what she said. She took me to talk to an officer who asked questions and checked my travel papers. Then she helped me get my suitcase. And here's a picture of what that was like, the lady asking me my name. And she was from an agency called Hayas, which even to this day helps refugees when they need help and helps refugees all over the world. In Cuba, I lived in the city. It was an exciting place with a lot going on and warm all year long. After Florida, I went to another state, Pennsylvania, and lived in the suburbs. The houses were further apart, and it was quieter there than in the city. I had also never seen snow before, and it was very cold in the winter. Everything was so new to me. Does Cuba look like the United States? How are they the same? How are they different? Can you point out what looks the same and what looks different in the two pictures? I came to the United States without my family. I was very afraid. I lived with 3 foster families. Those are families that try to help you when your own family cannot. My foster families tried, but it was not the same as being with my Cuban family. My brother and I lived together with the second foster family. We knew we had to take care of each other. Another nice lady, a social worker, visited often to see how we were doing. She did not speak Spanish, but she tried to help us. I still miss my family in Cuba. When I first came to the United States, I had so many questions that I could not ask because I did not speak English. How would I be able to tell people what I needed? I went to school, but it was hard. I did not have friends. I did not understand the teacher and could not do my homework. I was lonely and felt sad. I wish that I could be like the other kids. I often felt shy or scared because I had an accent when I tried to speak in English. I did not feel that I was like everyone else. I did not fit in. I studied a lot to learn English and many other great things. Little by little, I learned to write, read, and speak English. I won awards for being a good student. Learning was so exciting for me now. And this is a picture of the awards. And the picture that you see on the left with the brown frame on it that has that gold circle in it is actually showing something that hangs in my wall in my house, which is my diploma when I graduated sixth grade in Cuba. And I brought that with me when I came. And it's in English, I mean, I'm sorry, it's in Spanish and Yiddish. So there's a special significance to that picture out of the other two that you see there. After a while, I learned that it was okay for me to be different. It was good to be different. It made me interesting. Since I could speak English, my classmates and I could now do things together, and I made friends. We learned from each other. At first, I thought that they were all the same. As we learned from each other, I understood that we were all different, and that was okay. This is a picture of me with a new friend. And now you can see we're eating and it looks like we're talking with each other. In 1965, when I was 17 years old, Papi came to the United States. My aunt and uncle came when I was 18. I was so happy to be with my family again. By the time they arrived, I had so much to tell them. My English was very good, and I could teach them many of the things that I had learned in school. Because I now spoke both Spanish and English, I could translate for my family when they met with the social worker who spoke English. And one thing that this does not tell you, but that the bilingual version does explain, is that what gave me hope when I was sad and I was scared was that I had hope that one day I would be reunited with my family. And that was really important to have that hope. And this is a picture when we were reunited. I loved learning and felt good about who I was. I finished high school, college, and law school. I became a lawyer and then a judge. As a judge, I was in a special court that works with families, the family court. Just like the social workers and the foster parents who took care of me, I tried to help children and their parents. I wanted them to become good families. It made me happy to help others. I never forgot the people who took care of me in my new country. They helped me so that I could grow up to help others. From them, I learned that we all have to accept each other, even if we're different. And this is a picture of an adult reading the book with a child for them sharing what the story is. Do you know the life stories of the adults who take care of you? If not, ask to hear them. I hope you would talk to them about your life story and ask them questions about their life stories too. It can be fun to get to know each other all over again. Maybe you can even write a book just like this one. Always remember that life is very special and beautiful, and so are you. While it is good to be part of a group, it is also good to be yourself and like what is different about you. That is part of who you are and makes you interesting. It also makes the group stronger because both you and your friends can learn from your differences. And this picture is something that you can have fun with. What the picture does is it shows you the same kinds of things in the first column, which is labeled Cuba, and the second column, which is labeled United States. And you're supposed to draw a line between the pictures that are the same kinds of things so that you can see how they compare. So you would draw a line between the light clothes, which I know we use in the United States in the summer, but not all year round. But in Cuba, we use them all the time because Cuba is warm, and the heavy clothes. You can also draw a line between the hibiscus red flower with the yellow center under Cuba and the purple cornflower that is next to the heavy clothes in under United States. In the area of food, in Cuba, you have rice and beans and plantains, which are fried bananas, and mango. And in the United States, you have cherries and peanut butter and jelly. Can you believe that when I was a child in Cuba, I didn't know anything about peanut butter and jelly? On the weather, you can see the rain with the cloud, and you can see the snow with the snowman. And in Cuba, you can see the palm tree and the pine tree in the United States. And the bottom of the page says, try to match items in Cuba to similar items in the United States. So
Well,
that's basically the book in English.
thank you. That is an incredible story. I don't think that many children from around here can say that they were put on an airplane all by themselves and moved to another country. It's hard to imagine what that would have been like. And incredible to see how you have overcome so many things and have a wonderful life for yourself. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people help me, and I'm hoping that this book will also help a lot of people.
Yes, I hope so too. When you got on the airplane, were there other children in the same situation as you coming over together?
I think so, but I don't
Okay.
remember any children. I
Yeah.
think I was so upset that I just was focused on me. And I remember looking at the back of the out the window and seeing the island receding in the distance and
Oh,
thinking, I'm never going to see my home again. I'm never going to see my family.
oh,
Um, when I got off the plane, I didn't know where to go. So I decided to follow the grown-ups. And that's how I got through to the point where the social worker came to me. But I do know stories uh, of children who came that way. My brother came also 2 months later, but he had to go to Jamaica first and stay there for 2 weeks. And I learned as an adult that what happened is that the planes flew either to Florida and then to Jamaica, or some went from Jamaica to Florida. And he happened to get on one that went first to Jamaica, and that was under British rule at the time. So the reason he had to stay the 2 weeks is for his papers to be in order. But and I met someone whose father was a worked for Pan Am, and he used to go in the bathroom and close the door when it was time to take off, so his seat could be used by a child. And there was someone else who is friends of ours who was 11 when she came. And apparently, as she was walking towards the airplane, a woman came to her and handed her a baby and said, "Take my baby." So this 11-year-old took the baby on the plane, and I don't know that she knew how to take care of the baby, but she took care of the baby until she got off the plane. And then a social worker met her, and someone else took care of the baby. So
wow.
I think there may have been children on my plane. I just don't remember.
Okay. Wow. The social worker who met you, did she speak Spanish?
No, she didn't. And there was a very nice social worker who also came to the foster home where I was the longest time for like 5 years. And she didn't speak Spanish either. But by then I was starting to learn English. And one funny thing happened because we had that social worker when my father came. My
Uh-huh.
father came first, and then my aunt and uncle. And at one point, I was sitting between the two of them translating. And suddenly they both looked at me kind of funny. And I realized that I was saying something in Spanish to the social worker and something in English to my father.
Oh,
And there are a lot of kids today who do play that role. You know, they may go to
mhm,
the doctor with their older relative and translate,
mhm.
and they're doing things that are things that generally adults would do, but they have the language skills that the adults don't have yet.
That is true. I've witnessed that quite a few times in the pharmacy and in the store.
Yeah.
When it's really something to be able to do that as a child. How?
I know of one program that services a lot of Spanish speaking people in health matters. And when
Mhm.
they build their offices, they made them bigger because they realized that there would be a lot of people coming in,
Oh,
one patient, but there might be several people coming into the
mhm.
room.
That
So,
makes sense.
yeah.
Well, how did you learn English then? Was it a formal lesson or did you just teach yourself?
It was a method called the sink or swim method, and I don't recommend it. When I came, my first foster mother, the one where I was the second foster mother, the longest time, had taken German in college. So I had a Spanish-English dictionary, and I would speak to her in Yiddish, which is close to German. So she kind of understood me. And I came in June, and around July, we went and met with the principal. And the purpose of the meeting to see, what grade I would be put in. So
Okay.
I still didn't speak much English, and my foster mother would interrupt whenever the principal asked a question and answer it. And I would smile. And when we left, I asked her in German, or actually in Yiddish, okay, what happened? Did I get put back a grade? So, it was kind of a lot of pointing too.
Okay. Huh. All right. Well, yeah. I would love to hear you read this story in Spanish as well. I don't have Spanish on the PowerPoint. Do you
Okay,
have a Spanish copy with you?
I do. Just give me a second.
Okay.
Okay, and this may have one page that maybe we didn't do in English, but it wasn't super important, so I think it was okay. But if it's in here, it's in the English version too. We didn't just leave it out, okay? So I'm going to do this all in Spanish, but you'll see when you see the first page that half of this page is in Spanish, and then it's the same thing in English. Me llamo Aidita. And the reason it's Aidita is because in Spanish, that's the diminutive for Aida or Aida. And my cousins who are my age now, we're a lot older, they still call me Aidita. So I'm going to skip the introductory pages, and then I'm going to go ahead in Spanish. Me llamo Aidita. ¿Y tú cómo te llamas? Can you see it? No, you can't see the letters. Hold on a second. Okay. Mi familia es de Cuba, Rusia y Polonia. Soy muchas cosas maravillosas y estoy orgullosa de todas ellas. Vivimos en Cuba muchos años, pero luego mami se enfermó y falleció cuando yo tenía 11 años. Lloré mucho. Durante ese tiempo el gobierno de Cuba cambió y mi familia se empezó a preocupar. Se habían ido de Europa para alejarse de las guerras y también temían que pronto habría una guerra en Cuba. Mi papá me puso en un avión a los Estados Unidos. El avión llegó a Miami, Florida. Al desembarcar, vino una señora y me preguntó, ¿eres Aida? This is not working because it's backwards.
Would you just like to read it without showing us the words?
Yes. Do you want me to start or just start from here?
However you want to do it is fine.
Okay, I think I'll just read it because
Yeah.
I'll try to show you the picture after I read.
Okay, good.
El avión llegó a Miami, Florida. Al desembarcar, una señorita me tocó al hombro y me preguntó en Yiddish, ¿eres Aidita? Me resultó extraño porque no la conocía, pero por lo menos podía entenderla. Me llevó a hablar con un agente que nos hizo preguntas y revisó mis papeles. Luego, la señorita y yo fuimos a recoger mi equipaje. En Cuba vivía en una ciudad. Era un lugar vibrante donde pasaban muchas cosas y todos los días del año eran templados. Después de vivir en Florida, fui al estado de Pennsylvania, donde viví en los suburbios. Las casas estaban más separadas y era más tranquilo que la ciudad. Nunca había visto la nieve y el invierno era muy frío. Todo era tan nuevo para mí. ¿Cómo se parece Cuba a los Estados Unidos? ¿Cuáles son las diferencias? Puedes señalar lo que es igual y lo que es diferente en los dos dibujos. Me tuve que esforzar mucho. Cuando apenas había llegado a los Estados Unidos, tenía tantas preguntas, pero no las podía hacer porque no hablaba inglés. ¿Cómo le iba a decir a la gente lo que necesitaba? Fui a la escuela, pero me resultaba difícil. No tenía amigos. No podía entender lo que decía la maestra ni hacer la tarea. Me sentía sola y triste. Deseaba ser como los demás niños. Muchas veces me daba vergüenza o miedo hablar en inglés. Notaba que hablaban con un acento diferente. Me sentía diferente a todos los demás, como que no encajaba. Me tuve que esforzar mucho para poco a poco aprender a leer y a escribir en inglés. Aprendí muchas otras cosas maravillosas. Ahora me entusiasmaba aprender y hasta gané premios por ser buena alumna. Después de un tiempo entendí que ser diferente era algo bueno. Me hacía más interesante. Como yo podía hablar en inglés, mis compañeros y yo ahora podíamos hacer cosas juntos. Hice muchos amigos, aprendemos el uno del otro. Al principio pensaba que ellos eran todos iguales. A medida que nos íbamos conociendo, entendí que todos éramos diferentes y eso era normal. Todos los días soñaba con reunirme otra vez con mi familia cubana. Eso me daba fuerza para seguir adelante. Qué felicidad cuando finalmente llegaron. Tenía mucho que contarles. Como ya hablaba muy bien inglés, iba a poder enseñarles lo que había aprendido en la escuela. Como también hablaba español, cuando venía la trabajadora social, yo podía interpretar para ella y mi familia. La trabajadora social solamente hablaba inglés. Me encantaba aprender y me sentía orgullosa de mí misma. Terminé la escuela secundaria, fui a la universidad y me gradué de abogada. Después me eligieron como jueza y trabajé en el Tribunal de Asuntos de Familia. Traté de ayudar a los niños y a sus padres de la misma manera que las trabajadoras sociales y familias de acogida me ayudaron a mí cuando vine a los Estados Unidos. Ayudar a los demás me hacía feliz. Nunca olvidé a las personas que me ayudaron en mi nuevo país. Me apoyaron para que pudiera crecer y ayudar a los demás. De ellos aprendí que hay que aceptar a todas las personas, aunque sean diferentes. ¿Conoces la historia de los adultos que te rodean? Si no, pide que te la cuenten. Cuéntales tu historia y pregúntales de sus vidas también. Puede ser interesante conocerse mejor. Tal vez hasta puedas escribir un libro como este. Recuerda siempre que la vida es muy hermosa y hay que apreciarla igual que a ti también. Es bueno ser parte de un grupo, pero también ser tu propio individuo y apreciar las diferencias. Esas diferencias son parte de ti y te hacen único. También fortalecen el grupo porque tanto tú como tus amigos pueden aprender los unos de los otros. Trata de unir las cosas en Cuba que son similares a cosas en los Estados Unidos. Do you want me to also do the adult questions? You think it might be too long?
Maybe we could stop there. And
Okay.
I have two more questions for you.
Go ahead.
First tasted peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. What did you think?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
I think I just have a whole part of my life that has been erased because it's hard to remember.
Okay.
I think it was difficult. And
Yeah.
so I concentrated in school, which was the one thing I could do.
Okay. Okay. And then the other thing is today we are so used to FaceTiming and video chatting and calling and emailing. Obviously, you could not do that with your family. Did you have any communication with your father?
I did, but I would write letters in Yiddish, not in Spanish. And I have one letter that he brought when he came. And basically what it says, everything is okay, we're happy. Like, you know, we didn't tell him we were sad. And to talk on the phone was a big thing. You had to call and make arrangements with the operator ahead of time. And then you had to be around because then they will call you back and you didn't know how long you would wait. So maybe I'm guessing maybe we made the arrangements the day before or that morning and they could call at the end of the day. So we didn't talk on the phone very often, and we definitely couldn't see each other the way we can do on something like Zoom or Skype.
No.
And I actually wrote another book, which is going to come out very soon. It's called Emilia Finds Her Voice. It's about a little girl whose parents are getting divorced. And one of the questions in the back is just that. Can you imagine what it was like to live without the internet? Because she's named after Amelia Earhart, who was a pilot who flew a plane. And when Amelia Earhart flew that plane across the Atlantic Ocean, and she was very famous even before that, there were televisions, but most people in the United States didn't have a television. So one of the questions at the end of the book is, can you imagine what it was like to find out what was going on in the world without television, without an iPhone, without, you know, Skype and the internet?
Yeah. I remember when I moved to the United States as a 17-year-old in 1991, I was just beginning to hear about the internet, but it was not widely used yet. And the only way I really communicated was with letters. We wrote letters back and forth to my parents and I, and it would take a couple weeks to get them back. And once a month we would talk on the telephone, and that was about it. So we've come a long way.
Well, and the other thing is there has been no mail between Cuba and the United States since 1965. So you can't just mail something to Cuba. If you mail something, I think it goes through Canada, and then from Canada it goes to Cuba. Or if you know someone who's going, like today, if you know someone who's going to Cuba,
Okay.
you can give them a letter, and you can have like a stamp from the Cuban post office on it, and then they can mail it once they get to Cuba.
Okay. So very difficult
Yes, it is.
to happen. Okay. Well, I am so glad that you shared your book with us today. It's just an incredible story that I hope many children will be able to hear. And if you want to read it for yourself, check it out at the Delaware Library Catalog, or you can purchase it on Amazon and read it again and again. It's one of those books that would be a fantastic book to add to your collection. And I do so appreciate Miss Aida Waserstein coming on to talk about it with her, because it's an experience that's pretty different from what most of us are used to. A good thing to learn about.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Muchas gracias.